Hello everybody, I hope you're great today. A couple of days ago I caught the tail end of a video by Spoonfed No More, and she finished that video off by asking people to relate experiences where they'd had their prayers answered. And it made me remember something that happened in 2014 actually. That was an eventful year for me. Following the memorial, I found out that the convention, the summer convention, was going to be an international one. And my town's 30 miles north of London, so we're always allocated to London for all our assemblies, special day assemblies, circuit assemblies, and summer conventions. And usually London had, well, it used to be the case, London had two big summer conventions, one at Crystal Palace and the other at Twickenham Rugby Stadium. So anyway, I said, well, I used to always go to Twickenham, I'll make my way down there. And I thought I'll just go for one afternoon. That'd probably be about as much as I could bear. And I wouldn't want to kill myself to get up early in the morning like I used to. And yeah, so I made my mind to go down. I went in my jeans like I'd done so at the memorial. I went about just after lunch had started, so everybody was already in their seats, and the attendants found me a nice little spot on the end of a row. And although I did have a bit of a shocker when I actually had sat down in my seat, the stadium was so full. Back in the day, because there had probably been two locations for an assembly, there was more room in the arena, and I don't know. I guess this year, 2014, they amalgamated and put everybody into one stadium. So yeah, it was a bit of a shocker to walk in and see so many people. In the past, there'd be like, say, maximum 25,000 people on a Sunday. But this Saturday afternoon, that later on I was told there was about 60,000 people in attendance. So yeah, it was really loud. When the first person who finished their talk, then it was announced that the governing body member was coming on, and it happened to be Samuel Hurd. And the clapping, I mean, it was so loud. I had to put my stuff my fingers in my ears because I've got an ear complaint, and I hadn't come prepared with earplugs, but I just couldn't bear the sound of the clapping. And they sung extra vigorously as well at the start of his talk or at the end of it. But yeah, it was all just way too much for me, too loud. Anyway, I'd heard governing body, well, I knew that a governing body member would attend an international assembly, and as soon as I'd heard this, I started praying that I might have the opportunity to speak to this person. And travelling down on the train, I prayed about it, that I might get to speak to them. Sitting in my seat, and I saw all the people in attendance, I still said a little prayer that it might be God's will. I'd shown a "here I am, send me" attitude, and I really wanted to just, you know, give a governing body member just a little piece of my mind, really. So I was there until Sam finished his talk. Truth be told, I did nod off a little bit during the talk, so I can't tell you what that talk was about. But at the end of it, the missionaries all came onto the, I think they were even on the grass. I think they were. I know back in the day you weren't allowed to stand on the grass, but there was that many missionaries pouring in, loads of them. And they came in waving handkerchiefs, white handkerchiefs, and the audience started waving back at them, and there was this big love fest going on, and it just didn't mean anything to me. I know back in the day I probably would have loved that. I know I would have loved that, but it just seems a touch idolatrous to me. And I watched it for as long as I could bear it, and I just said, you know what, I've had enough, I'm going. Anyway, I made my way down out onto the concourse, which, because everybody was inside enjoying this love fest, it was completely bare. There was just a handful of people dotted about. So I could look up and see clear directly to the exits. There was a whole row of exits. And I started diagonally cutting across and making my way to leave. And then lo and behold, I looked up, and who did I see walking towards me? Yeah, believe it or not, I saw Samuel Hurd marching along. He had two big, bulky guys, well, big guys either side of him, and they strode along, they marched along at a pace. But as soon as I saw them, I couldn't believe it, but I had no time to waste. I changed direction and I just made a beeline for Samuel Hurd. I went up to him and I said, and these are my words, I said, I am the anointed of Jehovah. What makes you think God would reveal something to you and not to me? And that was all the time I had. He reached some glass doors which were opened from the inside. The man didn't even have to open the door for himself, and he went through. And before the doors shut, there was about a foot space. I shouted through, "You are not the faithful and discreet slave." And I know that sound hit his back. He wasn't facing me. He'd pressed the lift and was ready to get into this lift and go away. But I felt like he almost wanted to turn around and look at me, but he made himself just keep facing away. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. Dream come true. I have to say, it was a dream come true, a prayer answered. And I left the stadium and I was just so full of joy. I unwitnessed to a good handful of people before I left the stadium, telling them over and over again that the governing body is not the faithful and discreet slave and that they are in a state of apostasy. Anyway, I left the stadium, walked up the road, and something made me stop and turn around. I looked back and I looked up to the stadium, and you could see there was a glass level, and I saw the man there, Samuel Hurd. He was watching me. Yeah. So, yes, Sammy, it's me. I'm the woman that spoke to you at Twickenham that day. And really, I have to say, I think that your attitude was extremely rude. You know, if somebody came up to me like that, just to blank a person, completely ignore them like they're nothing. I mean, why? Why did you have to respond to me that way? Was that Christ-like? Christ himself had crowds pressing in on him, hemming him in. People were allowed to come right up to him, to question him, to listen to him, to learn from him. You should have allowed yourself to have been questioned by me. But yeah, it was an answer to a prayer, and it really strengthened me that Father can hear your prayers, and that he blesses you if you ask in faith according to his will.